All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and today we're going to be talking about records again. In particular, today we're going to talk about the B58 Gen 1 stock turbo record. For those of you guys that have been paying attention, the record was broken again, and then again, and then again, and so now we've got a much faster time than what we've previously seen. But even then, I wasn't actually planning on making this video at first. I tried to wait for something, maybe a little more noteworthy, because these videos can kind of get repetitive. But I did think that this would bring a unique opportunity to talk about micro records in general. Every time I make a video about these records being broken, the comments are flooded with people trying to determine, is the record real? Does it really matter? Is it truly representative of, other cars and things like that? And so I just kind of wanted to talk about it so that we can kind of set the record straight on what we should expect or understand when these records are broken, and how we can use this information without it completely turning into a toxic dumpster fire. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe, because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. Now, to start off, shameless plug, we do have a Facebook group, B58 Discussion. If you guys haven't joined yet, I highly recommend it. It's a great place to talk about our build, show pictures of your cars, and ask a lot of different questions. We also have a records list that is running on there. I fill it all into a Google Drive sheet with a couple different filters so that we can see the different times broken down by different setups. So definitely jump in there. Feel free to share a draggy or a time slip if you want your name to be added, or you can just kind of scroll through the data to see where your car stacks up. Now, in particular today, like I said, we're talking about the Gen 1 stock turbo record. The current fastest time is from a rear-wheel drive 340i, which of course is very different from what we normally see. Usually it's X-Drive cars, but this rear-wheel drive car was able to run a 10.29 at 131 miles an hour. Now, this was verified on Draggy. He was at a drag strip, but they were having issues with the quarter-mile equipment. So he shows us like his 8th mile times on his time slip, and then he compares that to his draggy times to kind of give us a point of reference. On this one, it seemed like the draggy was a little bit faster, so maybe the timing equipment would have been a little slower, but it should have still been, maybe a low 10.3. But with that out of the way, he does have a YouTube page where he shares all the information on his build. So I'll have a link to that down in the description as well if you guys want to check it out. And he basically shows that he was able to dyno the car, and it made 500 wheel horsepower and 520 foot-pounds of torque. That's definitely on the high end. He's running a BM3 off-the-shelf map, so it's not something that you typically see, but it is a car that's working really well. Now, he did list all of the details to help understand how he was able to achieve these times. Like I said, it's the boot mode off-the-shelf E50 map, but he also has a fuel at stage 2 high-pressure fuel pump, and so that allows him to run a higher ethanol mix than what the map is rated for. I've done that in the past as well. It's a great method to help improve your timing and maximize the performance of your car. But in this case, he really sent it. He went all the way up to E75, so much, much higher than the E50 rating for the tune. But of course, that should be lending to him, getting on the higher end of, the dyno. He also has an RK Tunes front mount intake, a 4.5-inch downpipe. He's running a turn down, so he doesn't have a full catback. He has an upgraded drive shaft, an Perforamnce LSD. He also has a lithium battery, so that shaves a lot of weight from the car by ditching the stock battery. And then he also has a full 17-inch drag pack, so he mentions that he's running skinnies up front, probably, like a 4.5-inch wide wheel. And then he's got a 275/40 Mickey Thompson in the back. And then he's got all the passenger seats out, so, a bunch of weight reduction. So let's talk about this again. The first question is, people are asking, is this real? Can this really be possible? And I'll say that he's got a lot of things unique about his setup. Of course, it's a rear-wheel drive car, so you don't have to worry about additional drivetrain losses from an X-Drive car. And also he has an actual drag pack setup. So not just, an aggressive summer tire in the back. He's got Mickey Thompson is in the back and skinnies up front. So that helps make your launch as strong as possible. And it also reduces your rolling resistance when you're going down the track. And that's not something that X-Drive cars can really take advantage of. So he basically used that to his advantage, having a rear-wheel drive 340. He also weighed the car, and it was like between 3,300 and 3,400 pounds. Again, he's got a video on his channel showing that he put it on the scales. So with that much weight removed and the lightweight wheels up front, things like that, he was able to get it to a very, very low weight. He also has a video of his track day, and it looks like it was a track rental or like, you know, really low traffic, at least not a lot of cars out there when he was there. So it had really good conditions, really good prep. He even had the owner kind of giving him some tips on how to line the car up to get it where it has the most grip and can get the best launch. So stuff like that also lended to him being able to get the best performance possible. And also, even though it's an off-the-shelf map, like I said, he's running a much higher amount of ethanol than the map is rated for. That'll definitely affect his fuel trims and other things negatively, but it should still allow him to put out the maximum amount of power from that off-the-shelf map. So I think that's also helping him get the better performance. Like I said, he had good conditions. The DA was negative, even though the temperature was showing like in the 60s on his draggy. He was getting negative DA, so I'm sure if the temps dropped, the conditions would get even better. And then also people asked me if I thought the M Performance LSD made a difference. Of course, I made that video a couple weeks ago where I said when you're drag racing or straight line racing, an LSD isn't really a huge factor in performance because, you know, the biggest difference it's helping you with is traction between your left and right wheel. And unless you have a significant delta there, it's not going to give you a huge significant performance improvement. But one thing I will mention is, of course, an LSD can help you get a better burnout. So in this case, you can see he got a really aggressive burnout, and that combined with the prep and the drag conditions helped him get this 10.2 quarter mile. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. What does this mean? Because first thing I don't want people to do is start telling people, hey, stock turbo 340i's run 10.2 quarter miles. You know, obviously that is not the case. This is a very unique setup and condition, and that's why it's a record. You know, it's not something that we typically see. Most people I see run low 11s on the stock turbo. High 10s is really good, and mid 10s are kind of like where people were breaking records for a while. So I think that in this case, you know, it is what it is. He has a lot of very unique components in his setup that makes it hard to compare to other people that have set records in the past, and potentially people can continue running faster. Again, this is that time of year where we're seeing those good conditions. Cars are up on power. Cars are good on grip if you get to a drag strip. So there are a lot of things working to your advantage if you're trying to break records during this season. But I do think this is still a micro record. You know, it's just a stock turbo car. It's not a big turbo car, upgraded, you know, port injection and all of these things. So does it really matter? You know, who really cares how fast you are on a stock turbo? And I get it, you know, micro records are a thing. Everybody wants to know that their car is fast for what it is. I think the bigger picture here is people just like feeling like they're underestimated, right? You know, I went to Streetcar Takeover this summer trying to get some racing videos for you guys. Unfortunately, we got rained out, so nothing really happened. But when I pulled up, you know, people were laughing because I was joking and saying, I forgot you guys just pull up sitting on milk crates, you know, because you've been talking to people all season about their cars and their setups. And then you get there, everybody's on drag pack, all their seats are removed, you know, they've got upgraded carbon hoods and trunks and things that you didn't even know they had. But that's the idea. They want to tell you something about their car so that you assume it's giving them a limitation. And then when they get there, they're able to perform better than you expect. And this is especially true for people that want to have the fastest stock engine or stock transmission and these different components where it pretty much has a set limitation and we know where the limits are. But if you're willing to push it closer to that ragged edge and beat on it until it breaks, that doesn't necessarily mean that your transmission is stronger or your tune is better or anything like that. You're just getting a little bit more time out of it before it blows. And you got to ask yourself, you know, if it blows in 3 months, 6 months, a year, is that something that you're willing to risk? You know, some people are, so they go for these records and push their cars as far as possible without upgrading components that they probably know they should. But in reality, it's just kind of them willing to risk more for the reward of a micro record. So I think that's kind of like the mentality around it. When somebody just says, oh, I have a stock turbo car, you're not going to expect it to run a 10.2. Now, of course, in this case, the reason is because it's got a bunch of weight reduction, really good conditions and things like that. But I don't think we should be downplaying a car that is race prepped to go racing. It doesn't really make sense. The same way that I go to the track day and I have, upgraded sway bars and camber plates and better tires and brakes, that doesn't make my lap times any less, appropriate or realistic for my car. I did upgrades and brought my car to an area where I can use those upgrades. And so it's the same thing for drag racing. If somebody prepares their car for drag racing and goes to a drag strip, they're doing what they're supposed to do. There's nothing in the rules that says that it needs to be full weight and on all season tires and launching on a dirt road in Arizona in the middle of summer and all these other things that can make it worse. You're going to a race event to race, and so you prepared your car for that event. That doesn't make it any less realistic or accurate or representative of what you can do in those conditions. Now, of course, there are going to be other people that can post up their times, full weight, on the street and things like that. And that's all great. But this record was set at a racing event with racing equipment and using all the tools he had available to him. So, it kind of just is what it is. Now, if you guys want to get the same performance, you can go to a drag strip, you can set your car up the same way and try to do the same thing. This isn't like unobtainium. All you got to do is unbolt some things from your car and swap some parts, and you can try to shoot for the same numbers. So, I think it is what it is at the end of the day. It's not like he cut his car or did anything irreversible. He just used the mods that were available to his advantage, a little bit of luck on his side with good conditions and things like that, and he ran the time that he ran. Now, of course, in general, micro records don't matter. You're not the fastest car on the platform or anything like that. My car is technically like the fastest manual 440, but if I tell you that, you don't care. You have a car that is probably much faster with less mods. So me saying that my car is quick for what it is really just something that I appreciate. It's something that I enjoy because I'm driving the car. And that's why I don't get too hung up on records and things like that. I feel like it's more important to just drive your car how you enjoy it, set it up so that your car can be hopefully working as well as you want it to for a very long time without any issues, and just continue building your car up from there. But the good news is these cars will just keep getting faster. The platform is still continuing to develop. We'll be talking more about some of the upgrades that we saw released at PRI in these past couple weeks. More things are going to be coming down the pipeline for the B58s. So I think next year we'll just continue to see cars get faster and faster with setups that we thought were pretty much proven and set in stone as they were. But yeah, again, I just kind of wanted to talk about that in this video. Again, feel free to join our B58 Discussion Facebook group if you guys want to see what times other people are running, or if you want to share your times so that we can continue building that list and get a good picture of what cars can expect with different setups and things like that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.